Are you an artist or an aspiring artist that wants to improve their art skills? If so, you might wonder how to get better. There's so much to learn about art, so where do we even start? Well, if you looked around, you notice that it's important to do studies. No matter what point in your art journey you are, this will always come back. Studies come in many shapes and forms. But what it comes down to is that you take a reference from wherever really, but I would recommend Pinterest, and try to copy it. This can be fully one-to-one, or perhaps you want to turn it into a different style. There are many ways to approach this. A few months ago, I myself wanted to improve in certain aspects of art, and decided to return to doing studies. And this time, I would do loads. For over 20 days straight, I did studies, and I learned quite a few things from it that I want to share with you all. So, let's dive into today's story. While at my game art study, my teacher told me many times that I should improve my material definition. For some reason, it managed to stay as an area that was lacking for me. So, I decided to let go of my anime stuff for a while and just focus straight up on studying and realism. Also, I decided to do something crazy. Well, crazy for me, that is. In order to improve my values, I started to cut out color completely from my work. A lot of people around me say color is my strength, but I feel because of that, I felt like I could get away with my values, materials and edges being a bit off. Anyhow, I thought it would be an interesting approach, so I could more easily focus on my weak points. Here you can see a speed paint montage of one of my first results. I decided to start my work in black and white and apply color later. You can do this with layers in Photoshop like the gradient layer, multiply layer, overlay layer, hard light and soft light layer, etc. These are the ones that work the best for me. Be careful though, because your colors can come out dull, and I mainly use it to block in the base color for realistic pieces, and then paint over it by picking colors myself later. So yeah, I thought these turned out pretty well, but I noticed something. Something that has been haunting me for years. The drapery was lacking, and it's something I always struggle with whenever I drew a character. Maybe I could pull off the anatomy, but the clothing folds were always a nightmare for me. So yeah, I decided it was time I had to do something about it. I made a plan to only study drapery for 1 hour a day. That sounds doable, right? And of course, this all had to be in black and white as well. By this time, I had done a couple of days of 1 hour studies already, until I actually figured out I needed to hard focus on drapery. You can see some of the results here. It's evident that I struggle a little because I had to do it in 1 hour. But what is great about doing 1 hour studies is that you really limit yourself within a time frame and do not have time to overthink decisions. This can be really beneficial. The first times can be rather awkward, but if you go in with a solid plan and execute it, you can have some surprising results. So here are the other drapery results. I focused on just drawing the cloth only, without the human figure. And then very slowly, over the days, I started challenging myself more, drawing humans in various poses. It got very challenging to do in an hour. My method for doing this is to first block out the midtones and shadows, then paint in the darker shadows inside the shadow. And once that's done, I add brighter lights inside the midtones. This way you keep light and dark divided in a way, and it makes it easier to construct it. I use a soft brush that I can then shrink to create hard edges, and increase the size of the brush to add more of a soft edge to it. In these studies, I realized how important it is to choose a hard or soft edge, and I would advise you to be conscious of this in your studies as well. This can legitimately change how your paintings look. The power of drawing in black and white makes you ignore color and focus more on the values and edges. Color can not carry or break the piece then, so you have less things to worry about. This was an interesting challenge for me, and something I will definitely repeat in the future. The biggest lesson for me is that if you have a big weakness sticking out, it's a good idea to isolate that issue and start working solely on that, and ignore everything else for a bit. And then you can see how much you have improved when you come out on the other side. Also, make sure to implement what you've learned in the drawings you do outside of these studies. This can be quite challenging, but you'll be surprised by the ways you have improved due to these studies. And that's it for today. I hope this little piece of information can be useful to you. Also, if you have any suggestions of what kind of topic for me to cover in the next videos, feel free to say so in the comments and I might consider it. Have a great summer everyone, and stay adventurous.